had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the sunrise.
Oh, so I forgot to mention, not only did I get, so the Leica, the 2 lenses with it, the Crown Graphic 4x5, the Speed Graphic 120. I also got a Connie Omega Rapid 200 medium format press camera. And this is the camera that this guy used to shoot all the crime scene photos. He was a crime scene photographer.
Yeah.
So I got that
like
with
flashes of dead bodies. Yeah. That's terrifying.
I got that with the lens it came with. And then he had an additional wide angle lens from another manufacturer, a 58 millimeter. So I also have that lens, which is pristine.
Heck yeah.
So I got all of those cameras, plus a typewriter, plus a bunch of books, plus a couple of like a Harley Davidson handkerchief I already sold for $20.
Yeah.
All this other stuff for $450. So it was a big upfront spend. The value is there. There's a ton of work to do. I got to clean all the cameras.
I'm just thinking about your text yesterday of like, I'm getting backed up. I'm like, this is why.
Yeah, I know.
There's like 70 items.
Yeah. I blasted through a bunch of stuff yesterday, took a ton of stuff down to Josh's shop.
I did.
And, I don't have a ton of time this afternoon, but I have a few typewriters that just they don't need deep cleaning, but they need a little bit of cleaning. Yeah. And I'll get those in the shop. I have 3 typewriters in Josh's shop right now. I just brought a Japanese typewriter, ultra portable in there. And they've been selling. The typewriters keep selling, so I'm going to keep grabbing them.
So what is like I have been thinking about... I think we just did 20 minutes on.
I know, yeah.
Leica.
Another camera story.
I've been thinking about this. Like, where does this go? Like, what's the logical conclusion of all this vintage?
Yeah.
People are buying typewriters, people are buying cameras, and they're buying these mechanical objects that will last.
Yep.
And part of it, the logical conclusion could just be it's another trend. And the logical conclusion is the trend goes away, and then everybody has one, and then we're in 10 years we're just back to square one.
Yeah.
But I do almost think the consciousness has been rewritten a little bit in terms of you've seen the value fluctuate or go up from nothing so many times that now if you own one, you're probably more likely to I'm just going to keep that tucked away just in case. Maybe not. Maybe that's not the human. We're just that's the antithesis of how we approach this. But all of vintage stuff has always been the cheaper alternative.
Yeah.
If this keeps going at this pace, obviously there's always just a bunch of vintage stuff, but there is kind of a line in the sand. You could think of it probably mid 70s of quality for a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's some electronics that still have, decent quality to them, but electronics have a shelf life. A lot of them probably are shelf lives that don't matter to us, but because, we have a shelf life too. People don't like to think about that, but we do.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people do like these vintage objects because they are going to outlast them and something you can pass down. Like this, if you got this working, there's no reason that this wouldn't also work in 300 years, as long as film is around.
Absolutely.
That's the only caveat, is as long as
the biggest thing going against it is just the lubrication getting gummed up and it needing service again.
Yeah. So does everything pre-1970 just become extremely expensive more and more slowly over time? It's like this slow climb up this mountain.
Well, probably too, because...
Or do we pick up modern manufacturing and realize, oh, we need to actually go back to making things like that, because that, you in my head, I'm like, I don't know if that market could ever really completely succeed. Obviously, you have the rarity of things, but eventually, you see it right now with phone cameras to an extent. The market, the modern contemporary market structure is going to set in and be like, there's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
We're going to make new things.
Yeah. Just
hopefully they realize that quality is the component, but.
Well, just like Pentax coming up with that half frame camera. Selling it for $500 and it's plastic. And, and most of those point and shoots, even from the 80s and getting back into the 70s, are the same thing. But,
I want the what a video I showed you where the guy made the Game Boy or whatever.
Yeah.
And his idea was, I want the best version of this.
Right.
Today, I want that for all of, like, I want somebody to do that with typewriters. I want the best version of the ultra portable typewriter.
And I think there's going to be people like that are, again, what I want doesn't exist. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And while they may not take over the world and be a mass-produced product at that high of a quality, you know, the democratization of a lot of things it feels like has included people's ability to learn how to, create things, aluminum housing, or how to weld, how to 3D print something, how to use design software to create something, and then pay a machinist, a factory, a fabricator, whatever, to make the things that they want and do, reasonably priced, small batch, high quality items. I've mentioned the company Retrospect, and this isn't them creating original things, but they are buying up as much vintage stuff as they can, from typewriters to cameras, Polaroids, point and shoots, all that. And they have technicians and stuff that are on staff that tear these things down to like spare parts, clean them all, and put them all back together. And that includes Walkmans. I mean, I'm like, how do you guys make any money off of this stuff? You have to pay somebody to take apart that Sony Walkman. But they are able to use their marketing and all that to get premium prices for something. In Josh's shop, if I had a fully functional Sony Walkman that had new belts in it, I can probably get $60 for it.
Yeah.
But these guys are selling them for $200, $300.
Yeah.
But with sophisticated marketing and content creation and all that kind of stuff, there's certain people, kind of like the video that you showed me, that see that value and
is that
will pay for it.
Is that, because that's where I think I have a slight issue with it, with the resell stuff, is inflating it off of just marketing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's our world anyways, but like, there's so much garbage that, like, contemporary product that is just trash, that gets inflated by hyper marketing, and then the price jumps up, and it's like, this is crap.
Yeah.
So I hate the idea of that happening with older products, but I also understand it. Like, if you're selling something, you need to make money off of it. How do you even establish? There's really no such thing as a fair value for something that, like, its usefulness is, hypothetically, its usefulness is completely depreciated.
Right.
If you're buying a typewriter from 1942 or something.
Yes.
So where's the fair value for that thing? Like, do you price the metal that's in it? And then, like, there's really no.
It's hard because I do have to price the typewriters, a little bit of sort of gut instinct, my own experience with what I've seen prices online or prices in some of the typewriter Facebook groups I'm in. Like, what's the general sense out there of what someone's willing to pay? And I'll be honest, some of them, I haven't priced them crazy high, but there's a few where I'm like, honestly surprised that people paid for it.
Isn't worth it.
Well, I think it's worth it, but I'm just like I had a Remington 1040, really nice typewriter. I bought it for $30 at an estate sale. Had the case, it needed almost no work done to it. It was all fine mechanically. I just took the shell off, degreased it, hosed it down, relubricated it, cleaned the type bars, all of that stuff. Probably took me an hour. And part of it is I'm just looking at it and assessing the cool factor. Mm-hmm. How does, like, design wise, what does this feel like to me? Is this one where it's a head turner, or it's kind of a bland utilitarian typewriter, like a Remington Quiet Writer, like just a green looking thing that looks like it fell off a Jeep in World War II,
Yeah.
Versus, these mid-century ones that are, teal or robin's egg blue, or, have sloping, kind of curved designs. So I'm just looking at it, I'm like, this feels like $145 to me here in Omaha in a shop. And sure enough, like 2 days later, and Josh I always tell Josh, I'm like, there's always wiggle room. If someone really wants this thing and they want it for $130, sell it to them.
Negotiate. Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Get rid of it.
Especially because, you're getting these things in mass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you sell one and people get the bug and, you see what's happened to me. I've got 10 of them.
Do you think people are, how much are you still like a daily user of your typewriter?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All my record labels, like I sell records in Josh's shop. I type them all with the typewriter. All the notes I put when I sell a camera on eBay are
What's your
written with the
favorite like
typewriter.
non-commercial use for it right now? Like, do you still get down
To-do
and just
lists?
chop around? Yeah.
To-do lists, my daily to-do lists, stream of consciousness writing, feel inspiration, and just jump on there, throw a piece of paper in and start letting it rip. Letters to friends and family. Oh, dude, I love like sending a bill off to the water company, putting the envelope in the typewriter and typing the destination address. I usually use a sticker label for my address. But
I really do want to do more letters. I think that's letters. That's going to be my thing for the next.
The big thing with the letters is it's almost less of a letter. I think of it as just a note.
Yeah.
It's low stakes. It's just whatever comes to mind.
And people tend to make the argument, oh yeah, well, text messaging and email replaced the letter. And I would almost argue, no, they didn't. The letter just went away completely.
Yeah.
Text messaging and email and phone calls. Yes, you can communicate, you can catch up with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's easier. So maybe to that extent, like the phone call, but people were still writing letters in the 90s.
Yeah.
And the phone had been around for, 70 years at that point.
I also use a smaller piece of paper so I don't feel like I have to fill up a full traditional
There's
piece
just
of
something
paper.
really cool about like, hey, I'm thinking about you, or this is what I'm thinking about right now. Felt like it would be cool to share.
Or I really enjoyed our conversation, last week, that thing, or, I'm looking forward to seeing you when I come out in the fall, whatever it is, it can, I thought of you the other day. I mean, I'll write just a simple, short 3-paragraph letter, dear whatever, little paragraph, fondly Matthew, and then put it in the...
It gets you better at writing without editing too, in a way.
Yeah.
Because you're just kind of like, we're so used to just vomit everything,
right,
and then go back and click correct the spell, correct this, add this comma, semicolon here, period here, whatever. And writing a letter really kind of trains you to just edit while you're going through, because it's a real pain in the ass. Like if you make a bunch of mistakes, you have to literally put a new piece of paper in and copy the letter. And copying on a typewriter is not like copying on a computer where you can just kind of like, it's like, so.
And I think for me, if there's any
it's a good skill
influence that I'll have in the stuff that I make, it's just, feeling an excitement about older things, older technology, and like we just talked about how to use a typewriter. Like, I don't know if that'll be a video that I make on my channel, but it'd be like, you probably think that a typewriter is pointless for you, but here are 5 things that I use it for, where it's not overwhelming, just typing up a to-do list or a label or an envelope or a quick note to a friend. Like, these are things that are nice to have. A $60 typewriter that you got at an estate sale, or a $20 typewriter you found at a thrift store, to just have it on your desk, to use it for those slow productivity moments, to connect with something from the past, something tangible. It isn't a computer with blue light and a screen and all that stuff. So, if Retrospect is doing like hard marketing, influencers, hyping up Walkmans and typewriters and all that stuff, I want mine to be more of that quiet curation. And just like it was with you in this space, showing me your typewriter and that kind of catalyzing, oh, it's interesting, and you showing, letting me shoot with the Leica M9 and just going, oh, this is like an experience I forgot existed, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to go absolutely apeshit on acquiring these things and using them. I'll wrap up. The sad thing is, though, that the passion for this stuff has me completely lopsided with acquiring more of it to then share with other people. And I'm not actually spending enough time using them. You mentioned you were going to go do some photography this morning, and I'm thinking I got to run out to that estate sale out west because there's a 19-inch TV VCR combo and a Smith Corona typewriter, and I want to snag that stuff so I can put it in Josh's shop, both to make some money, but to like give people opportunities to acquire this stuff in a reasonable way here in Omaha. And then that literally kills my day for going out and actually making work.
Yeah, for sure.
So I need to work on get a little bit more balance that way.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to help me find a one of those CRT computer monitors so I can build my weather station.
Yes. Now, you want a computer monitor, or you want a TV monitor?
So this is really dumb to do live. I mean, I think if I could describe what I want to do to people, and they would be like, "Why?" And I literally don't have an answer. Like, it's why do I do any of this stuff?
Yeah.
But so I want to install Windows on a Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
And then install this piece of software called, like, I think it's the Weathertron 4000. Dude. And so it's the software, like the presentation software that the Weather Channel used in like 1980 and 1990s. And it's just weather.
Yeah.
And there's also the 3000, which is more blue screen. It looks like a government broadcast screen or something. I like the 4000. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of art, cultural art. And I literally want a painting of it that's useful. Yeah. Like, you know, we talked about like having like people using these old CRT monitors for like, I mean, it's a total waste of energy too. But people using these monitors for like stock tickers, or like you set up a news terminal or something. Yeah. And it's just all written word, or you set up an AI interface through a terminal where you have like, you take the graphical aspects out of it, and you take all the dopamine out. It's just like text. And I want to do that with weather, dude, just to kind of have a weird little painting of the Omaha weather. I wish at all times. And so I don't know if I don't know if there's a CRT monitor TV that's smaller than that, but then I am also like, I like the idea. See, this is where I also like the idea though of having that desktop monitor. 100%. Yeah. Because then I could kind of, I mean, I could probably even skin Windows to like be an older. I mean, that's stupid though. I don't really want. It's not the oldness. It's just like they built this timeless, beautiful design, and I want it to be displayed on. Yeah,
I think the biggest thing to figure out with that, we won't spend too much time talking about the technical, is the thing that's going to house the Raspberry Pi. Getting a signal, a video signal out of that and into an older style CRT, which typically has, the ones I'm thinking of have a VGA connection. Yeah, and I'm sure it's
I would have to do HDMI to
like a VGA. Yeah, which those adapters exist, I'm sure, or there's like I have just RCA composite to HDMI that I use to digitize VHS.
Well, that's what I have on all the CRTs.
And I think these little like that project sounds, this is going to be a little corny, but it sounds beautiful to me. I just think of the inspiration, the vision you have for that, what that vibe does for you. And first of all, I get very selfish and I'm like, please document the process. And dude, it doesn't even have to be a video where you talk to camera. It's just a wide and a couple shots of you connecting it and firing it up. Like, I just want to feel like I'm hanging out with you while you do
after.
it.
So I sent you all of these. Yeah. My obsession for like the last year has been making a website. Yes. And I sent you all this indie web stuff that I got sucked into. And there's like, I sent you one of the videos, and I mean, it's just something I've been into for a while, like the non-corporate web or whatever. Like I love, one of my favorite things in the last couple of years has been going back and reading books about the internet in like the 90s.
Oh, dude.
Because
I was on
and
it,
it's
buddy.
not, you know, it's funny because it's more of that going back to close the loop. Like you have to go back, like, okay, we went astray down a path. Now we have to go back to where the path was the most open, and then we create a new loop. Like that's how I'm thinking of it. And so I go back and I read these things from the 90s, and like the vision was so open, and we went one way, and it, you know, we kind of fucked up, in my opinion, and in most people's opinion. I don't think that's a hot take at this point.
Yeah.
And we like got a little greedy and we jacked it up, but like the core technology is still there. Like nothing has changed. Like it's completely democratic. Like the whole point of the internet is that it's open, and no matter how, like what people will try to say or try to scare people into thinking, or it's still there. It still exists. I can literally, you know, I can host my own thing right now and can do whatever I want. And that just gets me pumped. Like the original vision of what that technology was supposed to be gets me super excited. And little projects like, you know, that it's similar to that. Yeah. Like, okay, this is a single use piece of technology that also doubles as like a piece of art. But then you talked about making the video, and I've been trying to build like this website for a while now, and hopefully that'll come live in a bit. And then I want to start putting like videos there. So I might, maybe I'll do like a YouTube thing and then rehost them there, but I might also just do private on YouTube and, or unlisted, and then host them on the website only. Yeah. Just use YouTube as like a hosting platform. That way, you know, I don't know. It's more of that original, like that was the original intention of YouTube, was you host your videos here and then you put them on your website. Yep. And, so we'll see, but I don't know. That's an interesting thing to me. Absolutely. Is exploring that. That's like and it feels separate. We've had the discussions before about like, oh yeah, like why do you not, you know, just do the YouTube videos, or why don't you do this? And my YouTube channel got like demonetized for a lack of, and I just don't really, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me that much, but the metrics part bothers me. I kind of like the idea better of just building a little community space. Yep. Online. And it doesn't feel as, it just feels different. It's like separated from the, like I can do that and document a bunch of stuff there and like thoughts and everything, and it's mine and it's personal. And then I can also do, it's not as much like, oh, I'm going to be a content creator and I'm going to try to make this work that I feel is important. It's more just like, this is me. This is my little corner. Yeah. And then it informs all the other stuff. It feels more cohesive.
I think that's great.
So we'll see.
Especially, you know, my experience with just like going to websites in the late 90s. You know, the website was a self-contained experience. Yeah. And it had things you could do, places to click, resources, FAQ,
for
videos
anybody
to watch.
Who hasn't heard of the indie web, just give it a search. And start looking through some of these websites, because I mean, and they're goofy and they're like really niche, and yes, it's, you know, there's a type of website and it's like quizzes and pop and and it's very 90s, but I think there's like kernels of wisdom in there of, you know, it starts with like, oh, we're revisiting this thing, and then the idea grows into something where it's like, oh, what can I do with this? And there's still blogs and stuff like that are super interesting, but like you don't have to host your blog on Substack. Right. It's nice because it has discovery, but you know, it's like you could totally just host a blog. Yep. The discovery is the biggest thing though, because then you're probably going to have to come to one of these walled platforms to. Yep.
Well, and I think the commerce side, I think some people just go, well, but I can get monetized, or if this does catch on, you know, it's cool to have a website that has videos or content on it that are, you know, getting mentioned, or people are sharing them, or there's sort of virality, like there's media coverage, you know, whatever. But if just me posting a video through my own server, is not like, other than like people sending me money or buying some merch or whatever the methods are for capitalizing on that traction.
You can do like buy me a coffee, or you could do something like that. Yeah.
Or just, just it is what it is. It's not about, there isn't a commerce element underneath it. But I think we've all been trained like, well, if you're going to invest the time and energy into like making this project or this work or whatever, like what's your plan to capitalize on it?
You got to treat it like there's all this. I mean, the best example, this is one of my favorite things on the web, is open source communities. And you'll have people that dedicate 20 years of their life to improving a product that, hasn't been officially updated for 20 years, but they're working on it day and night for no money. And you see a little bit of that in like certain Web3 communities, or in certain like there's browsers that have been kept up. There's games. There's a lot in like game. I think of like not the Madden, but the Madden competitor 2K5.
Yeah.
They still re-release that. Tecmo Bowl. Still re-release it. There's this driving sim game that I just learned about called I think it's Grand Prix Legends.
Okay.
It was released in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's literally people that have spent thousands of hours designing like completely accurate with physics courses of these like 70-mile drives. And then they had to go in and report the game because it wouldn't allow you to create a course that's like over 20K. So then they have to figure out, okay, what's stopping this? Okay, how do we make this 5 times larger? And then we're going to reskin it. And this game is still relevant 27 years later because you have this completely dedicated community that is just doing it for the love of like, man, like the guy that designed this one course, he's like, yeah, I'm Italian, so I just wanted to do it right. He's like, this could be my contribution to like keeping a piece of history that I care about relevant for future generations.
And this for me feels like you just perfectly described the root reason I am sort of fixated on acquiring stuff.
And that was
it is
so
not,
that quote that I just said was actually something that I was thinking of you when I heard it, because he said, I just want to preserve these things.
Yeah.
And like show why this is cool.
Yep.
Because it doesn't, like, that course doesn't exist in real life anymore. It hasn't been an official like Formula One race course, or not even, it was never really a Formula One, but it was endurance racing, racing. And it hasn't been an official race course since 1968, maybe.
Yeah.
And so like, you've got this guy he's doing like his father or grandfather's generation, and just to keep it alive, something that doesn't exist anymore. The area has changed. He's like, this is like the most beautiful thing,
right,
for that this hyper niche. He's like, I gotta preserve it.
And so I look at everything from a restaurant that a chef has to this Leica to a typewriter to whatever. And here's what happens to my brain. I sit there and I go, first of all, this is interesting to me. Yeah. Just by first glance, there's something about it that speaks to me. And I start spinning this, not a story, but this emotion around the people or person who dedicated their life to this thing.
Yeah.
I watched that Polaroid documentary about Edwin Land and the SX70 land camera, and I completely, the first time I held one, I was like, holy shit, this thing is amazing.
Life-changing experience. Yeah.
And then I watched the documentary, and everything that went into, good and bad, making that thing. I was at the estate sale this past Friday. And this will be quick.
No, take it. We got time.
I have become sort of fixated on going to estate sales, in part because if I get lucky enough to go to a house where, and this is predominantly more common with the wife, it seems, where they were an aspiring artist.
Mm-hmm.
and they have their own paintings in the house mixed with the paintings that they've bought that are expensive. And by expensive, I mean probably in the $500 to $2,000 range, something they bought when they were in Europe or, an art gallery or whatever. And they have this appreciation of finer art and within reason for them to afford. But they also were making paintings in their home themselves. I saw a painting, of a barn and, the little weather vane windmill thing. And my friend Mark, who has just like the most amazing taste, he found it sort of unremarkable. And he wasn't negative about it or mean or anything, but he's just like, I can find you, a better painting, of a barn or whatever. And I didn't explain this to him, but I'm like, but this person.
Yeah. What it represents is greater than...
Even if it was a hobby, there was something in them where they were drawn to paintings, and they bought easels, and they bought...
They wanted to make an attempt at doing this thing that they loved.
They whether it was from a technical standpoint or they were expressing themselves through these scenes or whatever. And I'm like, I want to own their artwork.
It's so funny.
Let me finish this. I want to own their artwork that is their attempt to be in alignment with these painters that they revered.
Yeah.
And there's something in that I love. It's not that the painting is a technical or artistic masterpiece. It's they were trying, and they made something that's, it's good.
Yeah.
But it's not magic, and that I want that in my house.
I was just gonna say the value coming from the personal.
Yeah.
Like deep. It's like a deeply personal story to you that gives that more value. That example of if you could only grab two objects and your house is burning down, or you could grab one thing, and it's like, okay, over here you've got this beautiful $5,000. Mac Studio or whatever.
Yes.
And then over here you've got this.
Yep.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I want the thing, like my dad's watch, or I want the painting that represents my entire life's work.
There's something about all of the energy and effort and focus that goes into making something and the ability for me to acquire it. And I think that's why I have so many objects in my studio and spreading into the house. And there's a little bit of an unhealthy side to that when you start getting into 10, 15 typewriters, but, and that'll, get kind of dealt with, but I had kind of forgotten that. I had, adopted a lot of, no spending to try to help with some financial stuff after moving back from LA, all this stuff. And I wouldn't say it was like a dark time, but it was just, there just wasn't a lot of objects of great beauty to me, both the emotion I ascribed to them, but then just knowing like these people or this person literally dedicated their life to this, and you get to own it or eat it or drink it or experience it.
It's interesting. I'm just thinking out loud here, but I would love to see that, like, I guess like a no spend equivalent now that you have amassed all of these objects. So one thing I think about is a buddy of mine, Casey, we both share this hobby of, pipe smoking. We'll just try different tobaccos and different pipes. And we found out, kind of came to the realization, like, we keep buying all of these new.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got to try this one. I got to try this one. Got to try this one. And we're like, honestly, I rather, like, the thing that is most romantic to us is this idea that one person, smokes one tobacco. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, my granddad always smelled like this, or like, and it's kind of similar to with music. Like, if you listen to the same song over and over, you're essentially pasting your experiences onto that.
Yeah.
And it is the best thing. And you can do this with smell. You can do this with visuals to an extent. You can do this with music, taste, obviously, but you can almost take a period of time or a specific moment and lock it into this thing forever.
Yeah.
And So that's what attracted us to the hobby, or whatever pipe smoking would be defined as. So probably a year or so ago, we started deciding like, okay, we're just going to smoke like this one tobacco for a month, or like this one for a month, and just commit to doing this. And I would love to see that from your perspective because it gives you such a appreciation of that one, and you start to explore it and find little idiosyncrasies, or like, I don't actually like this. Yeah. Like I thought I liked the idea of this, but I don't actually like this specific one or this. Yep. And I would love to see that with your objects that you've kind of collected. Yes. Like, what does it look like when you're like, okay, like, I don't know, say in January, you're like, okay, not buying anything for myself anymore for 6 months. Yep. And you just, these are what I own. I'm going to use them and just write about them. Yep. Almost like a reportage. Like I'm just going to, okay, this one typewriter for a month. Every thought I have, I'm going to record it. And you could put it in a video or whatever the format is. That would be interesting to me.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Just, okay, like I'm only going to listen to these 2 records. Yeah. For the entire month. Like, okay, you're creating these artificial constraints, and then you have to go through and be like, oh man, if I'm only going to listen to 2, what are they going to be? Do you want one that's like a comfortable, like, it's going to be good, and then one that's kind of experimental that you don't really appreciate? Right. But building, because you have all these great items now, and I'm like, I would love to start seeing that. What does that personality, your personality look like as it's kind of pasted on? I don't know why I'm saying pasted on. I'm picturing like whitewashing a, paper mache onto
Well, I think that's sort of a good challenge for someone that is drawn to collecting or acquiring is, not to get caught in that loop, and then sort of generally use certain items, this typewriter, listen to that record, whatever. But to focus more on, going through them, like spend a month on one typewriter, the underdog one, or the one that you like, but probably the first one that you would sell if you had to start unloading them. I actually did that when I prepped the typewriter that I took to Josh's shop on Friday. I type up a whole summary of my experience with it and what I know of it. Where did I get it? What's it called? Where was it made? What store was it sold in typically? What's it feel like to write with it? Is it easy on the ears? Any quirks that it has? I do this big write-up, and I'm like, this typewriter is really good. And I'm like, oh, this. Dang. I'm like, this, a lot of the metal ultra portables from the 70s, late 60s really hurt my ears. They don't have as much sound dampening and all that. And so I'm sitting there going, do I really want to sell this one? Yeah. I'm like, just
get it out.
Move it along.
Who's
buddy.
The YouTube channel? She does this with cameras. It's like one
Allie.
2 months, one camera,
month,
or 1 month.
2 months, one camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool
concept. It's a great
I would love to. You've got so much cool stuff too. I just feel like it would play really well.
Yeah, and that was a really fun conceit that she came up with, especially not that she thought of it to differentiate herself from other camera content creators, but I think because she, kind of the undercurrent of her, similar to me, is the gear acquisition syndrome. You're just like constantly wanting to experiment with new cameras, and that was a challenge to herself. Like, just focus on it.
I think it's important to be like
1 month. 1 month, 2 cameras. I think.
Is it?
Yeah, 1 month, 2 cameras.
Just the idea though that the acquisition is fun.
It sure is.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But there is something about building personal experience onto an object. Yeah. And just, okay, don't acquire anything else.
Right.
Just spend time with this. Build a relationship with this. Because it does take time. Yeah. It takes a long time. But that relationship just gets more and more insightful. And just the depth is almost limitless once you start. It can be a very simplistic thing that doesn't really seem like it would have a lot of depth on the surface. But time reveals all of these intricate little, because you're not, it's not always like the features of the object. A lot of times it's the object in relation to the context that you're bringing to it that day. So what is this object like on a good day? What is this object like on a bad day?
Yeah.
And I think if we explored the world like that, or things like that, it would be a much healthier relationship with things than than the one we have. Because I do think we have a lot of like, I need this, or this is great, but it doesn't do this. And it's like, well, what does this do really well? And you see that, in some places where people are looking at something, or they're like, oh man, this is my favorite for this kind of thing. Or, but I just, I want to see more of that. I want more of exploring a thing like that clock.
Right.
That clock has been there for what, like 5 years?
Yeah.
And I guess 3 years, because I got it because we were doing this podcast and we needed a way to track time.
Yep.
So
especially in your eye line, because you track it.
I love that clock so much. That clock cost $1.
Yeah.
It keeps perfect time. It's super cheap, but it looks so good. If it was gone, it would look empty there.
Yeah.
It's like, I just love it.
No,
I've looked at that clock. I've thought about it on good days and bad days. I will never look at that clock and not think about us having a conversation at this table.
Yep.
Because we've put, 100 hours of time into building that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I have my 2 clocks. I have one on the left side of the room and one on the right, depending on which direction I'm looking. And they're 2 Sound Design, which is a company that made alarm clocks.
They're sweet.
They're cassette tape alarm clocks, and they're red and digital, whereas yours is traditional, a regular clock. And I love
call that a analog clock, I guess. Yeah.
You got to read it to tell time. It just tells you. And I love them.
Yeah.
For that reason as well. I actually picked up not a third Sound Design, but a Sony Dream Machine alarm clock, a little white one, and have that in the mix as well. And
there's something about there's just something about committing to an object and being like, okay, you're not perfect, neither am I. Let's figure this thing out together.
Figure it out together.
And not look for something better.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot like, that's kind of the expectation you should have for a human too, right? If you were in a human relationship, it's like, you're not perfect, neither am I, let's figure it out.
Right.
I think we have developed a different relationship with our objects. And we kind of have a culture where, at least from a noise perspective, the culture is dominated by our relationship to our objects, unfortunately. And I think it has created some unhealthy expectations, because we're starting to bring that, you don't do this, or you don't do this well, so I need to replace you with something that does. We've started to bring that into our relationships.
Yeah.
Or like expecting perfection out of our objects, as if it's like some linear graph where you have to just continue to get better and better, and everything's linear. We've started to bring that into our relationships a little bit, where we're expecting perfection out of a partner or a friend, or, if we find something out about it that isn't, that's just dangerous. That's a really bad way to approach the world, I think. And I think maybe the solution, obviously you'd hope the solution starts with the people, but I do think we kind of start with our objects, and then we just put that lens on everything. So start redefining the relationship that you have with your objects. And
especially if those objects require, they're not some perfect, easy, streamlined, convenient, iterated upon thing that has as few obstacles as possible in the use of it. I like some of the objects I've acquired because they're quirky, or you can't do that. You kind of do it this way, or you gotta have a little bit of friction in using it. And there's maybe other things where if it's not working correctly, it's like it's got to go. This thing needs to be replaced. The faucet isn't doing this correctly, or it's blocked up. I can't fix it. Whatever. Like, sorry, you're in the trash and you're getting replaced with something new. And I think too, with the relationship thing, not only that expectation of perfection sometimes from those in our lives, but also an expectation of perfection in how we handle everything. Okay, in this situation, this person's upset. I'm going to de-escalate. I'm going to deploy self-awareness. I'm going to do this. Like, you're going through the playbook of all the things that make you like the perfect human.
And you're working on, ironically, you're focusing on you instead of the other person. And
and maybe just having a little bit of grace with the chaos that can sometimes, and this doesn't mean like it's okay to be abusive or whatever, but give yourself a little leeway if you don't handle everything perfectly.
Yeah,
we could go down a whole other pathway with this, but I was not expecting this conversation after our pre-show. I kind of took it over with the Leica story, and then it just went where it went. And that's kind of interesting that we were talking about something completely different to start. We're like, well, let's get started because we're going to talk about this, and then we haven't really talked about it at all.
Direction. I do think though, like the way that it relates in a sense, because part of what we were discussing in the pre-show was, certain attitudes that people have that cause them more trouble than they probably realize.
Yeah.
And maybe they're adopting that perspective or that attitude because it's in the cultural consciousness, it's in the zeitgeist, or maybe it's just, it seems like the easiest thing. Maybe, when you're weighing it against the obligation of self, it is easier to come to terms with than some of the alternatives would be. But I mean, I think we have this, and it really is more of it has gotten, it's consumed more of our world since digital technology, because digital technology gives us this illusion of almost perfection.
Yes.
And I think we do chase after that, and it's started to influence the way that we interact. And it's like, you can't just, it's not meant, humans aren't meant to do that.
No.
And I mean, I don't know what humans are meant to do, so who knows, but we've been doing things in a very imperfect way for the entire period of time we've existed. And all of our myths, all of our stories point towards this reality. And so there's, you have to almost embrace that, and, you kind of expect that.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You have to, it's a framework that doesn't fit on what it means to be human.
Yeah. And I think, the conversations we've had in the past about technology, everything from, technopoly and what it does to us, and how massive revolutions in technology, from the printing press to, television, all of that stuff, part of the cultural zeitgeist right now, at least what the algorithm is serving up to me. And I know you're off the algorithm, which is great, but what the algorithm is serving up to me from a few of the things I've watched is just, people trying to embrace discomfort, people trying to embrace inconvenience, people trying to embrace friction in how they interact with everyday objects. Like, it is when you can tell a HomePod to play whatever music you want in the world. Obviously there are some blind spots that it has, and some of the stuff that I've acquired, like I'll pick up a record and I'm like, cool, when I'm in the kitchen cooking, I don't have a record player in there. I can play this record on the HomePod. Well, it's not available on Apple Music, so I can only listen to the record. You might look at someone who has a HomePod, can literally tell it whatever they want to listen to instantly, but they're going to go to this bin pull out a record, pull out a black disc, stick it on the record player, drop it, clear off the dust, drop the needle, whatever, and listen to it that way with equipment they had to acquire. I had to get a receiver, I had to get speakers, I had to get a record player.
Yeah.
Those require service and maintenance and bulbs and belts and needles and all this stuff. It just seems ludicrous. Why would you not embrace the HomePod? We have iterated on this technology
perfect,
of
yeah.
this thing of listening to music. And this little tiny thing, I have the HomePod Mini, little tiny thing has room-filling, warm sound, and everything you want through Apple Music, all this stuff. Why we are so fixated on, consciously or subconsciously, reducing all of the steps and the friction and all this stuff. And then we're all finding out, whether it's with our phones, the HomePods, whatever, like it's boring.
Yeah.
That's all the stuff that gives it flavor and life.
I was thinking
quirks.
about this yesterday. We were like on highways for a while, and I was thinking about this idea of the highway, and this is it's a goofy, it's not original, it's pretty goofy, but it's like this idea that it's like when we're driving that, like we literally went out just to drive.
Yeah.
Like just to go and experience the highway. And it was a scenic byway, the Iowa Scenic Byway, or the Lewis Hills Scenic Byway.
Yeah. Did you go south toward Glenwood or north?
Yeah.
Up
And we made it.
Old Lincoln Highway.
We want to do the whole thing eventually, but we went north, and the experience was wonderful because you're just like,
oh yeah, it's a great
you're
ride.
just there to drive.
Yep.
And it made me think, we've kind of built our entire society in the last 100 years or so around this idea that you've got to reach this destination. It's all about the destination.
Right.
But everything was kind of designed around this idea of like, we're here to just drive.
Right.
And like, I think people were a lot happier. Life was a lot happier when the perspective of most people was, I'm just driving.
Yeah.
I'm just experiencing, and like whatever I can do to get a little bit of color in my day-to-day experience, whether that's, having to go through some friction with dealing with an object to play some music, or whether that's, a person who's completely different than anybody that you've seen before, or who's saying something that's different, or who's acting in a way that's quote unquote like bizarre. That's color. It's giving color, whether it's a place that you walk in and you're like, wow, this is interesting. Why did we make these decisions? It's adding to the experience. It's adding to the drive. It's look at that tree. Oh, look at that cow. Look at that house. Look at that truck.
Yeah.
That's what it, and we've kind of focused around, it's just about the destination. And it's like, well, spoiler alert, the destination is you die. Like, that's it.
Yes.
Like that's the only destination.
Yeah.
And like, that's not a fun destination. And like, you can set these career milestones, and most people, if you look at the psychology behind it, or, people's experience, they reach these highs, or they achieve these things that they set out to achieve. And they're like, yeah, it kind of sucked after like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a day or a week. Like, what didn't mean anything. Yeah, it's because it's never been about the thing. It's been about the process to get there.
Yeah.
And if you realign yourself to think like that, it changes everything. I wanted to touch on, you said I'm off the algorithm. And I think it's interesting because like, I'm off the algorithm technically. Yeah. I'm not, though, because everything that I consume is influenced by the algorithm.
Yeah.
Because all of the people I'm consuming are influenced.
Right.
Like, there is no escaping the algorithm or the zeitgeist. Like, it is what it is. Like, I was talking about in the pre-show a little bit about like, oh, I'm hearing like these things pop up all the time, and just like over and over. And yeah, even the things we're talking about here, they're not like original things. They're probably influenced by the algorithm, whether we like it or not. I mean, the only way to be off the algorithm, I guess, would be to remove yourself from digital. But then at that point, it's like also remove yourself from society, or cultivate a group of friends who are also off the algorithm.
Well, I mean, I like the original algorithm, which would be like the internet doesn't exist, social media, none of that exists, and the algorithm is just word of mouth.
See, but
what people think about stuff.
The other thing I want to, like, we sit here and complain about technology. It's like there's a lot of technology that's really good.
Absolutely.
I think we both agree with that. Like, there's nuance to this.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot, like, it is zeitgeisty right now to be like anti-tech.
Yeah.
And you know what? I agree. A lot of it is, it's exploitative, and it's like just crappy, and it's, Orwellian, and there's a lot of crap that but you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's probably what's going to happen, because that's what our culture is really good at, is you're going to have this group of people who are just like, tech is all bad, I'm going to be Amish or like whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but also like learn how to work these things together. Like we live in a world where all of these things exist. So it's up to you to make something vibrant out of it.
And when we say technology, we mean more sort of like generally electronic, type technology.
Yeah.
Obviously, every human tool and all that is technically technology.
Yeah, I guess that's also, again, that's a good piece of nuance, right, in and of itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, just there's this attitude of like all digital technology is bad, and just like there's nuance to that, just like there's nuance to everything, and you're not going to hear it because it doesn't sound good in a TikTok, but
right.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of other people who are going to talk about it too. And yeah, there's some people that are completely misaligned with their incentives, and they will talk like tech is the lifeblood of the world and it's the only solution. But, and you can discredit those people, and it can also be true at the same time that there are a lot of solutions and there are a lot of things that will be solved that have been problems for years by digital technology.
Right.
So it's like, yes, you can have snake oil salesmen, and then you can have people that are also, you can have technology that's actually going to meaningfully improve the world.
And I think, again, everything's about balance, you can be on one side, one extreme side, and it's like stark minimalism. You have as few objects as possible.
I was thinking about minimalism when you were making your point earlier. Yeah.
Or, the complete opposite, where things are, maybe unhealthy hoarding of objects. Or instead of, hoarding kind of to me is more related to the dopamine of acquiring something, and then you just put it in your house and it's not, it's lost or buried, versus like extreme collecting where everything is displayed, like like it's all,
you're building
it's
like
all
shrines to
experienceable, but it's everywhere. Versus technology where people are like sort of obsessively finding every app, everything, every whatever, like this, it's sort of like if you like, I put this all in movies, like, the what's the name of the guy? Like, there's a name for the person that makes all this crazy intricate technology to just like open a can.
The Rube Goldberg.
Yeah, the Rube Goldberg. And like in Back to the Future, all of the stuff that this guy created to just like put dog food in a can. So like we create apps and we use AI, and I have this thing to program this, and my coffee starts brewing, and then this happens. Like I want as little input into things as possible, and I just want everything sort of served up. Yeah. That's an extreme that I don't enjoy. But then I also don't want, all this manual stuff that I'm like constantly having to give input. And
there's some things that are just annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. And trying to find that middle ground where sometimes it goes shades a little bit to one side or the other, but trying to find some balance in all of that stuff.
I don't want us to go too deep because we got to wrap pretty soon, but I had this thought the other day and I haven't really explored it much deeper, but I remember when the iPhone first came out, or when I first got a hold of one and started, it was probably like 2009, 2010. And I had this feeling, because there was, at that time, it seemed like there was this prevailing idea that technology was going to take everything over. And by that, I mean like name all these physical activities.
Yeah, it was just going to colonize your physical analog life.
And I had this thought, like, oh man, and I carried this probably for about 5 years, probably till about 2015.
Yeah.
But I used to constantly have this thought that it really doesn't do anything in the real world. Like, you spend all this time building social media, and like it really isn't like moving any needle in the real world.
Yeah.
But, and obviously that's not completely true. Like there have been revolutions that have been, started on Facebook and So it's not completely true. But I was like, I just had this this feeling in the back, like this gut feeling that, oh, it's really important, but it doesn't really it's not real.
Right.
And somewhere that went away. Mm-hmm. And it just disappeared.
That feeling for you disappeared.
That feeling disappeared. But I think that feeling for me at the time was probably influenced by some cultural things. Mm-hmm. But at some point it seemed like there was this recognition that we need to get over this hurdle that these things are it's almost the idea, if I had to quantify it in a sentence, would be creating artificial problems so you can solve those artificial problems.
Right. Yes.
And that was what I felt like it did.
Yep.
Oh yeah, this is, it's creating this, what's a good example? There was an iPhone app, and it was the Swiss Army app. Mm-hmm. And it was 14 apps in one.
Yeah. And
it had all these things that it did. And I'm like, this is useless, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, this is just a money grab, spend $2 and we're going to get some money. And we built this app, and it has a flashlight and a compass and a bunch of bullshit that is completely useless, really.
Yeah.
But it serves this idea that, oh, look at all this utility. I need to have this on my phone.
Yep. I might need that.
Yeah, I might need that. And so I had this idea, and then it seems like that disappeared. And now that I look back on it, I'm wondering, how intentional was that? How much was that? We have a marketing problem. People don't think that this is necessary, or that this isn't you had all of these people that were holdouts to social media, and they were like, you don't need this. This doesn't actually influence the real world. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to focus on my business. Or and then you had this kind of sea change around 2015, 16, where everybody was suddenly, no, I have to have social media.
Yeah.
And now that we're fucking 15 years out, you start looking, you're like, man, if you would have just held tight like those people, I think they were right. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of them were probably right. There's some businesses being an influencer. Obviously, that was an industry that created itself. It didn't exist. I mean, it did. You could have
celebrities and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But it kind of created itself out of the thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people who were I don't fucking need this. This is just they were kind of right. They were kind of just a little early on. And now everybody's starting to, or not everybody, but there are larger groups of people that are starting to be you don't need this. Isn't the real world.
You know what?
You don't need Twitter. You don't need Instagram. And they were saying that in 2010. And then somehow the conversation got changed, and it got broadly accepted. No, you need to have this thing.
Right.
And really, I think there are some problems that technology, online banking is awesome. Mm-hmm. Not having to go to the bank, fucking great problem to solve.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great thing that technology did. What ebooks are cool. There's plenty of streaming is cool. Just being able to watch stuff ever. And I understand we can argue about going to see movies and owning the media. And it's there's something really cool about just I'm going to pull this up and stream it.
Yep.
So there are cool things that, have influence, but a lot of this stuff, it kind of feels like it is just this illusion of you need this.
Absolutely.
And that at some point somebody recognized, oh man, this narrative's going the wrong way. We need to change. And, I'm not saying there's one person that did it. It could literally just be the industry as a whole was we have this misconception that this isn't necessary. We need to make sure that people know that this is necessary.
So there's a YouTube account, and I watched the video with Aaron. Yeah. And we don't need to go too far down this. We can save it for another time, but Professor. I don't know if you've seen this guy's channel, Professor Zhang. So he has a video called "Consumerism is the Perfection of Slavery," and he's a professor and he records his lectures, and he talks about how after World War II, we were a worker-centric society. Everything revolved around the worker, unions, all this stuff. And then in the 80s, quote unquote, they decided to shift everything to being a consumer centric society. And I feel like that has shades of what you're talking about, which is how do we
You're creating artificial demand.
Right. Yeah. How do we manufacture problems that can be solved with products that people will feel that they absolutely have to consume? And part of what I was talking about earlier, wanting to acquire something because I covet its beauty and I think it, I can own something that this person, there could be an argument like, yep, we thought of that too. And we influenced you to feel that way in order to, I feel like this narrative I tell myself is, well, you're an exception to the normal forces of driving consumerism because you're not acquiring it because you have some problem to solve. Although you could argue just like an emotional problem exists where I don't own enough beautiful objects and I need to have more of them. But that, and that's where in pre-show I had the little conspiracy theory where you're like, hey, they took Looney Tunes off of HBO Max. So, it's not there. And I said, well, what if they are doing that on purpose to create a problem? And then all these influencers talk about how this stuff isn't available on streaming. You need to own your media, driving up the investment in physical media, even if it's, buying used physical media, because the Hollywood system and the studios and the corporations that own them want to go back to the glory days of DVD sales when billions of dollars were coming in.
I'm like, I just don't think that these people are long-term focused enough to do anything that's that it's just, I think the world it's completely made up of just a ton of non-correlated complex systems. Yeah. And all we do as humans is we try to make correlations out of these things that aren't correlated. Yeah. And it's like the biggest thing we try to do. And I do think there's planning that happens sometimes. Yeah. I don't really feel like that's my biggest thing. We talked about like how people have this defeatist attitude about certain things. They're like, well, there's this, these people that are manipulating everything I do and say. And it's like, part of that comes down to you. And it's like, you vote with your dollar. You hear that a lot. We talked about that. It's like you vote with your dollar, you vote with your attention. It's like, well, you're complaining about how TikTok is like ruining people's, like your life, or Twitter is like ruining your life, or social media, but you're on your phone all the time. Like that's your choice. Yeah. That's up to you. And you're like, oh, well, if I get off of it like, for work or for this, it's like,
I can't.
It's like, that is your choice. Yeah. And I'm sorry. Like, and I get it. Like the technology is meant to exploit people and meant to hurt you. And like, or designed to capture the most attention so you can get shareholder returns. And like, I'm not going to sit here and argue that that's a good thing. Yeah. But it's your decision to put your time and energy and attention there. And at the end of the day, like, you've got to accept that responsibility or not. But if you don't, like, you're not going to change anything because you're not thinking on if there is a difference between us and they, or like the people that, you would cabal theory. Yeah. And I typically don't believe in that. I think it's just like a lot of complex systems and there's just complexity. And I don't think there's ever like, you do get like your Edward Bernays types or whatever, who are like, I'm going to make a decision that's going to profoundly influence how things are done in this field. Yep. But the difference is there's a bit more belief and like, if I do something, it'll change this output. Yeah. And I think that's the key. And it's like, as a consumer, you can have that same mindset. Like, if I don't buy this shit, they'll stop making this shit. Like, if there's no market for something, there's not going to be a market for it. Yeah. Like, you see it, all these like new sodas, because people were like, oh, soda is actually full of shit. Yeah. Like traditional soda. And so they're like, oh, well, we need like newer sodas that's not as full of shit. Why? Because nobody was buying the old shit. And
if we make
the market responds.
And if we make that soda full of all the new good shit, we can charge $2 a can. Yeah. Dude, this soda is freaking expensive.
Yep. Yeah. Like the poppies or the
And they're delicious.
Yeah. And
I love them. But I'm not spending $2 a piece on it.
Like, that's kind of how, and our system is slow and it's not very effective. But you know what? Like, that's good and bad. Yeah. And we talked about earlier, do they start making new products because all of these vintage products are you know?
Well, and
For us, we like to think, though, it's because of the quality, but a lot of times it's just for the clout or the social currency that comes from it. So,
and there's certainly an element of that in all of it. And I post what I'm doing on social media. This is the record I'm listening to. This is the Laserdisc player I got. Here's my weekend haul. And that's the yucky consumerism part that gets a hold of me. It's not, it's buying it. This is like, oh, I covet this beautiful object. Well, then just keep it to yourself. Well, some of them I got to share. First thing I want to do on this podcast, tell everybody the Leica story. Because Leica has cachet. What does that mean about me? All this stuff. So that's that sort of nasty dark side of consumerism.
Yeah.
In me telling my story of thinking that I'm buying it to covet the beauty, there is a dark side of it, which is what it signals, the story I get to tell. I know when I post this to Instagram, people are going to be like, "Oh, you found a Leica, like amazing, like Grail, all this stuff." This is related, but I kept thinking while you're talking about like, phones and all that stuff. Christopher Nolan releases a new movie. What's the first thing everybody wants to talk about when they have him on the talk show or doing the thing? So you don't use a cell phone.
Is that real?
He doesn't. Yeah.
And
that's like one of the...
Does he just not have a cell phone at all?
No cell. I mean, if he does, it's a flip phone.
So Werner Herzog doesn't
I don't
have
even
a cell
think he has a
phone
flip phone. I don't think he even has a flip phone. I think Nolan's full landline.
That would be the way to go. If I could get away with that, I would.
I know, right? Like there is something about that, and there's no doubt Nolan buys stuff. I'm sure he has... Yeah. He has devices.
I do think it's the responsibility of the artist. Like anybody listening to the show calls themselves and that is so gross. Like, if you call yourself an artist, it's like, are you really an artist, or are you just trying to benefit off of the cultural cachet of it? But if that's what you strive to be, or if like you have some inclination that that's kind of what you're going for, it's your job to kind of insulate yourself from like you shouldn't be getting caught up in cultural waves.
Yeah.
And see, then there's a side of me that even argues against that. Like, a lot of art is influenced by the moment and by the zeitgeist. Yeah. So, I don't take this as a declarative statement, but it's just my gut tells me like there is some insulation that needs to happen. And I'm not a huge Nolan fan, but I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
I know Herzog doesn't have a phone either for the same reason. He was
Bill
kind
Murray.
of...
He has a phone, but he's not texting.
I mean, yeah. And I think there's
media.
something to that. And I mean, it's not like you're better if you don't have a phone or if you I don't use social media. And you're starting to see people start to use it that way. Like, I don't use social media. I don't. It's like you're just falling into the same trap. Like that's gross.
You're wanting to signal.
You're signaling off.
Yeah,
of
you're
this.
hijacking this thing that's happening because you see the opportunity, even if it's not the sole reason, but you see an opportunity to signal. To culture. To community.
Is it probably better that you're not? Yeah,
potentially.
That you're not using it. Like maybe you're getting a little bit of benefit.
But if you're not using it in order to do this kind of cringe thing, like that's know. And again, I think there are cringe elements of everything we do. Me telling the story of the Leica is fun. It is exciting. People like the thing. You are interested in the camera and whether it works or whatever. But then there is an undercurrent of, I know it's interesting to tell this story, and there may be meaning that people have about something like this that they ascribe to me and what it means to me, and it gives me a more favorable disposition, all this stuff, and even if you don't consciously dissect all that before you make a decision to share something, your subconscious has been working on it since the moment this picture was in the estate sale listing. Consciously and subconsciously, things are happening that are processing all the good stuff you can do with it and the cringe stuff that
you're building a narrative around it, right?
Yeah.
You're building like, oh man, this is going to make me this. And
what value does this have?
I can use it for this.
Numerous ways.
And like, secretly also you're like, I'm going to get a little dopamine hit off of
this.
Dopamine
hit, yep.
But then you're like, I can mine it for dopamine in this way. Like, I think kind of that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It's just like mining it for dopamine in different ways.
Right.
And who's to even say that that's a bad thing? I just think it's like, calm down, maybe.
Yeah.
Like certain things need to just like, they need the air to process.
Right. And, you know, with someone like me who is think it, make it, think it, feel it, make it, send it, you just have to be very careful that the cringe stuff doesn't take over.
Yeah.
And you just are bleh in public places.
Yeah.
On the internet. Which I am prone to do. There's, you know, we talked about this before, not going to spend a bunch of time on it, but, you know, a desire for attention, you know, and what's the root cause of that? Insecurity, you know, you weren't popular in high school, you know, you want people to think you're cool, you know, all this stuff. And then, you know, some good, wholesome things like I might take a cool photo with this that I get to keep and put on my wall, and it's not for anybody else. It's just for me. And I'm not going to signal with it. I'm not going to share it, you know, whatever. So it goes both ways. Well, I just personally have to be careful that I don't let it take all the cringe stuff take over.
Yeah. I mean, we all do. And I mean, that's just part of that insulation, I think. Yeah. Like, it's tough if you're not actively seeking out. It's just so easy to just be completely consumed in these like thought bubbles, culture bubbles, and like idea bubbles, zeitgeist bubbles, I guess, and in 2025, and not even realize that you're in them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you know, if you're going to make art that's interesting, I think it has to come from you.
Yeah.
Like start from you. And to do that, you have to have a you there. That's not just some manufactured you to, like, it has to be the real, like, non-perfect version of you, not the non-perfect in the way of like, oh, well, I watched this YouTube video about like how you can't beat yourself up, but like I'm talking about like the real, like, how do you see the world? Like, throw your connection to the outside out for a month and write down all of your feelings, and what does that give you?
Yep.
That's the real you.
Yeah.
Not the like, oh, well, this person's not going to agree with this statement, or with this, you know, this isn't going to look good, or this is an ugly photo, or this color is not attractive. Like, don't take all that aside. What is your opinion on it? And then that's what people, you know.
Well, it goes back to the moment where I looked at that painting. I really respect Mark, and I really like Mark. And there was a flash of a thought when I declared that I liked that painting and I was going to buy it, when there was a sort of a warm but critical reaction to the painting, where my brain goes, in an instant, goes, well, you really want Mark to like you and respect your taste.
So I need to say that
maybe you should not buy it.
Yeah.
But my instant reaction was everything that I talked about earlier. I know that the homeowner did that painting, and there is something that I love about them trying to be a painter.
Yeah.
Because I've tried to be a screenwriter or a writer or a YouTuber or whatever, and I am probably like her.
Yeah.
Like kind of good.
Yeah.
Kind of okay.
Yeah.
And I want to like give love to the other kind of okay people trying to pursue work that aren't doing things at a level of a Picasso or a Spielberg or whatever. And I want to give them a warm hug and go, I see what you're doing here and what you want. You didn't get there.
Yeah.
I'm probably never going to get there.
Yeah.
But I love,
it's beautiful.
I love what it means that you spent your life trying to figure it out.
And I think that's it. It's just like thoughtful exploration that leads to a perspective of things.
Yeah.
And then you're constantly testing that too.
Right.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the sunrise.